All right, another record for Bitcoin. Cryptocurrency broke through 90,000. A lot of people looking maybe 100,000 is next. And Doug Flynn comes on here. Flynn Zito, he's expecting some kind of dumb joke about a bear costume, but I'm not going to talk about that. I'm just going to ask you about Bitcoin again. It's at 93-ish. I mean, yeah, I saw a bunch of articles with 100, I guess. That's where you go from here. This is, what are you telling people about it now?
Yeah, I mean, the outlook is definitely there with the Trump-friendly backdrop that you have, and then the SEC chairman at some point is going to be replaced, who hasn't been the best friend, even though he did some good things, not the best friend to crypto. So a lot of people are looking at Bitcoin maybe doubling next year to 200,000. But really what's getting even more play is the Dogecoin, which, yeah, if nothing more though.
What? Actually, I shouldn't even just say, oh, just tell us what is that? Because people say, well, it's nothing. But Elon Musk talks about it all the time. But people used to say Bitcoin was nothing. Can you explain what people are doing here, what the differences is, the differences between some of these other coins and what Doge really is? Not the Department of Government Efficiency, by the way, but that's probably why they named it that.
Which is part of why it ran a little bit, because of that same acronym. But really what it is there are literally thousands of cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin, of course, is the most popular, most famous, but there are all these other ones. Dogecoin is funny because it literally was started about 10 years ago completely as a joke. And over those years, Elon tweeted about it in a half-joking way over time, and he became a fan of it. But it's really, the biggest benefit to it is, of course, you can use it to make payments, as you can with all of the cryptocurrency. But the big benefit is it's trading at 39 cents instead of $90,000. And so what happens is, just since the election, it's up over 100%. Where Bitcoin is up about half of that. And so the outlook of Doge getting from 40 cents to $1 is the equivalent of Bitcoin going to $250,000.
Wow.
So you just get more play out of it. It's just another trading mechanism that's you're able to trade in your cryptocurrency account, of course. But it's a payment stream like anything else, but just an alternative one, but really one that has become like the first sort of meme crypto, really, is what it is.
Yeah, that's why everybody's saying they named this department that to use the, like you say, a meme to play off of that, which is probably exactly what they're doing. Boy, man, if any of us could make a joke that was worth that kind of money, we'd be in a different business, I guess. Now, let's transition, and there is a way to do it, from these alternate currencies, which people look at as a way of, kind of being an alternate to the U.S. dollar or the rest, to talk about not only the dollar, but the Federal Reserve a little bit, because there were comments that came from the chairman of the Fed, Jay Powell, who was in, I believe, Dallas today, about interest rates and where we're going from here. What do you read into it? The headline I saw was, he says, the solid economy allows the Fed to consider rate cuts carefully. So what's he saying?
He's saying that the economy is holding up well, and he's also saying that, look, one of the core CPI number, which is not including food and energy, has been really sticky for months in a row, staying at about 3.3%. That's what they really want to get down to 2%. So that really hasn't come down, and partly because eggs, as one example, even though they're down about 6% over the past month, they're still up 30% year over year. And car insurance is up double digits, and even though gas is down. So there are things that are coming down, but there are things that are still up. And so what's happening is that the inflation numbers hang on a little bit higher than they want, and the economy is holding on better than anyone expected. And so that doesn't really lend itself to rapidly decreasing interest rates. So while I think we'll get a cut in December and maybe one or two in the first part of the new year, after that, you could get a pause where not too long ago, everyone was expecting to just cut all the way through next year. And I think that's where he's saying, hey, listen, everybody take it easy, calm down, we'll take a look, we'll keep cutting, but we're not going to go crazy because the data has to really support us doing much more.
So are things getting better for normal people out there is one of the questions, obviously, that we want to look into and know more about. I mean, I think it was interesting to look, a couple of screens here, on credit card debt, also delinquencies. The credit card debt in the country just hit a record high. So it's 1.17 trillion, and it's 8% higher than it was last year. Now, at the same time, delinquency rates are improving. I mean, it's 8.8% going into delinquency, but the quarter before was over 9%. So put it all together. What's going on in the country in terms of people's personal finances?
Well, I think what really is going on is the people at the lower end of the income spectrum are having a tougher time. Certainly, they're much more impacted by the effects of inflation. No matter how you slice it, inflation is up overall, just on the averages, 20% in the last 3 years, and that's just the averages. So that's going to hit people that maybe had paid off their credit cards with some of that COVID money and now ran out of that money and they had to run it back up on credit cards. And if you're having a tough time keeping pace, that's going to be where the impact is. Okay. So it isn't really impacting the higher end consumer, but it is impacting the lower end. And they're just trying to navigate all this so we don't go into a recession and we're able to land this really nicely and move on to the next phase of growth, which is what we're all hoping for. But you're going to lose some of the people on the lower end if they can't keep pace.
All right. Thank you, Doug.